Good evening. My name is Kirk Rice, and I am a member of the HRC family and a very proud Texan. Today, the HRC staff, volunteers, and members across our country participated in a moment of silence for George Floyd for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the exact amount of time that Officer Chauvin knelt on his neck. The Human Rights Campaign is proud to stand with Black Lives Matter, the movement, and we are angered by the violent killings of so many Black people, including Black trans women. As a white man, it is my job to step up and do more. And all of us around our country must stand with Black people, fight injustice, and demand real change. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Stay safe and stay mobilized.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for At Home with HRC Houston. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to address the unrest that we have seen in cities across this nation following the killings of so many Black people, including George Floyd, a 46-year-old Black man who grew up in Houston's very own 3rd Ward. This spring has been a stark and stinging reminder that racism and its strategic objective, white supremacy, is as defining a characteristic of the American experience as those ideals upon which we hold our democracy, the ideals of justice, equality, and liberty. We as a nation continue to be traumatized by horrific incidents of abuse that all too often result in the deaths of Black people. And while those incidents are horrifying, we also know that so many incidents go unrecorded, unreported, and unseen. We know that when our Black trans siblings lose their lives to an epidemic of violence, the tragedies of their deaths, the beauty and resilience of their lives, do not make the front page. And as Black people in this country, we know that the next victim could be our children, our siblings, or our parents. To put it plainly, as a Black man living in this country, I live with the knowledge every single day that the next victim could be me, or someone who I am related to. This cannot continue. We must all demand answers. We must all demand accountability. And we must all demand change. That means changing the systems and the structures. That means examining the ways that we, each of us, knowingly or unintentionally, support these systems of white supremacy through our actions, inactions, complicity, and indifference. And that means ensuring that we do not get stuck in our own outrage, but rather we move into action. This moment requires that we make explicit commitments and take action to combat racism and end white supremacy, not as necessary corollaries to our mission, but as integral to the objective of full equality for LGBTQ people. So as we celebrate on our history and celebrate our progress, let us recommit to the work ahead and take the next step in our long march towards justice. And let us remember the words of Archbishop Desmond Tutu. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor.
We must come together as a community to create change. Tonight, our speakers will be sharing more about HRC's work in Texas and across the country. We are here to learn more about how LGBTQ people and other marginalized communities are impacted especially hard during the pandemic and what HRC is doing to help. And we're also asking for your consideration of a donation supporting the work you're hearing about. It is my pleasure to welcome 3 incredible leaders. Here are the co-chairs of At Home with HRC Houston, Ray OCANAS, Jenny Trainweaver, and Todd Litton.
Hello, welcome to At Home with HRC Houston. Thank you to our host from CMT, Cody Allen. And thank you, Alphonso David, for that important message. We were so sad to have canceled our biggest night of the year due to the pandemic back in April. We are happy to have this opportunity to be together with our HRC family now. And a big welcome to members from Central and South Texas who may be joining us for the first time. Whether you've been to many HRC Houston events or you're joining us for the first time, welcome and welcome back. We are so glad you've joined us. These are challenging and trying times for the LGBTQIA community and the nation. And it is a time for people to come together to make their voices heard. We all have a responsibility to help support those voices and their messages for fairness and equality. The true spirit of Texas is to stand up for what is right. And while we may not always have the leadership from all elected officials, we stand proud to embrace diversity and support marginalized communities. We stand up for those that have experienced injustice, and we will keep fighting for full equality for all Americans. It is up to us to change history. While at every turn, we felt under attack by a hostile presidential administration, and it seems like our institutions are failing us, it's up to us to keep pressing forward for progress, both here in Texas and across the nation.
But we are fighters at HRC who will not back down. We thought it was important to get all of us together, even remotely, to hear about HRC's important work nationally and right here in Texas. We are planning to keep this event to about 45 minutes, and we hope you'll hang with us throughout. We are finally going to ask you to make a donation to support this work or get involved in our electoral work, or both. Some of you can give a little, some of you can give a lot. We recognize that everyone's probably in a different space right now, and we hope you'll be inspired to want to do more with HRC at such a critical time.
We want to take this time to recognize some important people. First, we are eternally grateful for all joining us. Thank you for making time for us. We also want to thank those of you who plan to attend the HRC Houston dinner in April. Since canceling the event, we've been overwhelmed by the generosity of so many who insisted on maintaining your financial support of the event. That includes ticket holders and sponsors who waived their refunds so we can apply your donations to our work. We are inspired by your commitment. Thank you. Some of you went even further to become equality captains, and we want to recognize your outstanding support. Many of these folks are table captains that recommitted for the support of this event. We thank you for being ambassadors to the Human Rights Campaign. Thank you so much for your leadership. To our major donors and members of the HRC Federal Club, we are grateful for your support. Thank you for all the extraordinary work you do, day in and day out, to advance the full equality for the LGBTQ community through your financial support of the Human Rights Campaign. We hope you enjoy the program.
Now, I'm happy to introduce our next speaker, HRC's President, Alphonso David. Alphonso is an accomplished and nationally recognized civil rights advocate and attorney who spent his entire career fighting for the rights of LGBTQ people and other marginalized communities. We are so inspired by this incredible leader's vision for HRC, and I think you will be too. Now, please welcome the President of the Human Rights Campaign, Alphonso David.
Good evening, Houston, and thank you all from across the Lone Star State of Texas and around the country for joining us. Tonight, we gather in our homes while a pandemic grips our world and injustice grips our nation. More than 100,000 Americans, so many of them people of color, have lost their lives to COVID-19. More than 40 million Americans have lost their jobs. Thousands have taken to the streets to protest racial injustice and police brutality. All the while, the president cowers in a bunker underneath a White House that has gone dark. You would be justified to feel despair right now. To feel angry, sad, and afraid in this moment is to be human. The crisis our nation is facing is unprecedented. And yet, in cities and towns across America, even as so many of us remain confined to our homes, millions of people are laying the groundwork for a better and brighter future. If you are tuning in tonight, it is because you have not given up hope. You still believe in the power of change and the promise of the Human Rights Campaign. This is an organization that has been paving the path towards full equality for 40 years. And as we confront these deeply troubling times, that work does not stop. Instead, our work is changing and expanding as we meet the needs of our community. In the midst of COVID-19, we have focused many of our programs to respond to this pandemic. We have released new resources to help the most impacted by this virus, including people of color, the unemployed, those living with HIV, seniors, hourly wage workers, healthcare workers, and those living with chronic conditions. We have documented the devastating impact on our community and lobbied our lawmakers for aid. At the same time, we remain focused on our long-term goals, including defeating Donald Trump in November and electing Joe Biden the next president of the United States. We're working hard to elect pro-equality candidates up and down the ballot, including in Texas. Doing so will allow us to defeat anti-LGBTQ bills in Texas and pass landmark legislation like the Equality Act at the federal level. In this new reality, social and digital media have become the new door knocks, which is why we are launching a new advocacy team app called Team. This app will allow you to directly engage with your own personal contacts about pro-equality issues and candidates, and I urge all of you to download it and get involved. Third, we remain committed to fighting injustice everywhere, including the racial injustice faced by so many members of our community. That is why last week, the Human Rights Campaign, along with a growing list of more than 500 LGBTQ and civil rights organizations, joined together again to say Black Lives Matter and commit ourselves to the action those words require. When we see injustice, we must speak out as strongly as we can. Otherwise, we are complicit in oppression. We have seen a lot of injustice lately, from George Floyd to Ahmaud Arbery, to Breonna Taylor, to Christian Cooper, to Nina Pop. The LGBTQ community is familiar with fighting against systems of power that are set up to serve the privileged few. Pride itself started with protest, led in large part by trans women of color resisting police brutality and harassment. Our community understands what it means to rise up and push back against a culture that tells us we are less than, that our lives don't matter. And we must be united to fight the systems that target our Black and brown siblings today and always. At the Human Rights Campaign, we believe in our community. We believe in the power of our pride. We believe in the strength of our diversity. We draw inspiration from our history and the giants who came before us. For 40 years, it is our resilience that has made us stronger and more united than ever before. It is that same resilience which will carry us through this moment and ever closer to the dream of full equality. Working together, we will weather this crisis as we have weathered crises before, by taking care of one another, by supporting each other, and by ensuring that we're doing all that we can to protect and empower the most vulnerable among us. This is work, and this is work we must all do. I want to thank you for your continued support. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for giving this community hope. Please stay well, and I hope to see each and every one of you in person soon. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Yvette LOPEZFREEMAN from the real West Texas town of El Paso with deep roots in El Estado Grande de Chihuahua. I'm a proud member of the Human Rights Campaign family where no matter where I am, I'm home when I'm with HRC. This has been an incredibly tough week on top of an already strained year. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. So I'm from a border town, born in El Paso. Growing up, I moved fluidly between El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, and summers in Chihuahua. I lived in Juarez till I was 9, then moved to El Paso. I learned very early how to fit in wherever I was, but it often felt like I couldn't really be my full self. Was I the Mexican kid from Juarez or the American in El Paso? Do I watch telenovelas or Nanotuano? Do I listen to Alanis or Shakira? I was always trying to navigate the right balance of me in any situation. When my mom read my journal in college, I was forced to come out before I was ready. I was shamed, sworn to secrecy, sent to the infierno. I was condenada. You guys know the story. After 10 years of this, I found HRC. And this became home, where I can really bring my full self, all of my identities, and I'm loved, I'm accepted, and celebrated. COVID-19 has affected you, all of us, in one way or another. This continues to be a deeply challenging time for our country, and it's clear how it disproportionately affects the most marginalized of us. And that's what HRC does. It fights for us, all of us. I hope you will make a sustaining gift by visiting hrc.im/@home. Consistent monthly support at whatever level you can give is the single best way to make sure HRC has the necessary resources to fight for us, for all of us. I'm asking for your help right now to sustain HRC's work, because we cannot let up when the stakes are this high. El apoyo de ustedes le urge hoy mismo a la organización HRC para sostener el trabajo y avanzar el progreso. Y para ustedes, quienes ya sean miembros, muchísimas gracias. To those of you who are already members of HRC, thank you. If this is your first time with us, we're so glad you're here. Please continue to engage with our work however you can. There has never been a more critical time to give, and there has never been a better night to do it. Please support HRC as I do, with a sustaining gift. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you all soon, hopefully in person, and with a new president in office. Okay? Ahí nos vemos. Hasta pronto.
We're all in this together. In the face of uncertain times, we know there is one constant. Nothing is more powerful than hope turned into action. Across the country, HRC volunteers and staff are all in. We're building community over coffee.
Welcome to our first virtual queer cafe.
We're connecting people with their elected officials.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey!
We're registering young people to vote, contacting our neighbors to make sure they have a plan to make their voices heard. We're fighting for equality everywhere, from the State House to the White House. We're doing all of this without leaving home.
What is that? It's my new standing desk.
Together, we are building on the work HRC started 40 years ago. We are bigger and stronger than ever. And we're all in for 2020.
Ooh.
Welcome to my office.
Join us. We're all in. Are you?
The work of HRC would not be possible without the commitment of companies who support our mission with financial resources, public support for LGBTQ equality, and providing the most inclusive and equitable workplaces possible. We want to recognize our HRC Houston event corporate sponsors. These companies all generously maintain their financial support of the event.
And HRC's national corporate partners and event sponsors. The HRC National Corporate Partners are companies that make significant investments in HRC's work nationally. You can see their logos on the screen and on our events homepage. We hope that you continue to support these local companies and national partners that support us. They are leaders in the support of the LGBTQ community through these challenging and uncertain times. Thank you all for your support.
I am honored to have my employer, BBVA, return for the 11th year in a row as presenting sponsor. BBVA represents more than 135,000 employees across the globe. Please take a look at this brief message from BBVA.
There are so many reasons to become a monthly member of the Human Rights Campaign. Whether it's the groundbreaking work Alphonso talked about or the personal stories like Yvette's, HRC is improving the lives of so many people. I hope you can donate at the link on the screen to continue to support HRC's critical work. I know I feel personally connected to HRC. After all, it wasn't that long ago that I came out with a simple post on Instagram. I had no idea how it might be received, especially being in the country music world. But I was overwhelmed with love and support from so many fans and even some country music stars, from Carrie Underwood to Dan and Shay, Casey Musgraves to Toby Keith. But you know, coming out stories like mine can only happen because of the groundwork laid by HRC. We all have our own story and our own circumstances that can lead us to join HRC. I encourage you to think about your own story and make a donation. Now, please welcome our next special guest. He's an American television host, author, and activist, currently starring as the culture expert in the Netflix hit series Queer Eye. I love this guy. Please welcome KARAMO Brown.
Hello to all of my HRC friends. I am KARAMO from Netflix Queer Eye, and I am very excited to be joining you right now and speaking with you. You know, we are in a very difficult time. There is a pandemic going on around the world, but then also there is a majority of us banding together to fight for Black lives. And it's a hard moment, but it's also a very special moment. And, you know, as we all do our best to try to work with and support those who are most vulnerable, I'm so thankful for organizations like HRC who are leading that path and leading that charge and making sure that, you know, people's voices are amplified and heard, and that we are all collectively coming onto one page so that we can create a better tomorrow for all of us. You know, but I do want to take this opportunity while I'm sitting in front of all of my HRC friends to speak to, you know, my white LGBT friends and say, you know, right now we're seeing a moment where people in the Black and African American community are saying enough is enough. We're tired of dying. We're tired of not being heard or seen. And there are many white LGBT people who understand our struggle and who are fighting with us. But there are still some who don't understand truly what's happening, and who don't understand that just because you're a part of the LGBT community does not mean that you do not benefit from white privilege or benefit from, you know, the systems that are in place. And it's important for all of my LGBT white family members and friends to understand that during this time is the most important for you to check in with yourself, because within our community, and this is real talk, everybody, we know that there is rampant racism, there is rampant transphobia, and there is rampant sexism. I mean, you go to any gay bar in any city across this country, and it's not going to be diverse. And that's a reflection of these systems that have been put in place that, though we don't really want to focus on, are right in front of us. And so what I want to do right now is, as HRC is leading this charge, I want to encourage all of you who are listening right now to know that even within our own community, there is work to be done, and that you have the power to start to reflect on what you're doing and how you play a role in this within our own community. So that way we can get stronger and be collective as we move forward, so that we can support groups that feel marginalized, that feel unheard, that feel unsupported, that are being harassed by the police. It's together that we start to see that change, when we really start to reflect on our own actions. Because change happens here first, here next, and in our homes third, and then it goes out in the world. And so for us, we have to be able to check in right here and say, well, how am I feeling truly about the fact that my own community, the LGBT community, our prides that were originally protests for equality, that were started by a Black trans woman and a Black lesbian, how do we feel that there's a legacy of our community and people of color saying, we're going to fight because we need to see change, yet here we are years later and there's not enough diversity and there's still racism and homophobia. How can I change that here and reflect here? Then what can I do here? And then how can I have the conversations with the people in my life? And don't allow yourself to use excuses like, I'm dating someone who's of color, I am in a relationship, to stop you from challenging yourself to think a little bit deeper. Because again, what HRC does so well is it helps us to band together and to really focus so we can move forward. And I think this is such a critical time. So for everyone there who's listening, thank you so much for taking the time to hear what I had to say. And continue to love yourself, support others, support HRC with your time, your courage, your dollars, as I will continue as well. Friends, I love you and take care of yourself.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Marquez, HRC's Texas State Director. I am excited and honored to stand with you in this role during this critical moment in history. COVID-19 may have changed a lot of things for us, but it hasn't changed the fact that this is the most important election of our lifetime in Texas. We have the opportunity to make history in Texas, from flipping a US Senate seat to creating a bipartisan pro-equality majority in the State House. But we need you. One of the best ways to get involved now is by downloading the Team app. You'll join a community of supporters and speak directly to your friends about the candidates you care about. In 2017, when lawmakers pushed the dangerous anti-trans bathroom bill, HRC asked you to take action, and you did. And alongside our state partners, we defeated that bill. Then, in 2018, when we had the chance to elect pro-equality candidates, we asked you to take action, and you did. And we saw the real results of those wins play out in DC and in Austin. This year, we ask you again to take action. We have the opportunity to elect more pro-equality candidates across Texas, from Houston to San Antonio, all the way to the Rio Grande Valley. But first, we know that any progress in 2020 comes from protecting our midterm gains, like Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher. In 2018, Lizzie Fletcher defeated an anti-LGBT incumbent in Houston. Then she became a co-sponsor to the historic Equality Act, proving once again that elections matter. Please join me in welcoming Representative Lizzie Fletcher.
Hello, HRC. I am so glad to be a part of your program and a part of the HRC family. HRC's work is essential to realizing the vision we share and realizing a world that achieves fundamental fairness and equality for all. The urgency of this work could not be more clear than at this moment in our history. While we've seen tremendous progress over the last decade, we know that much work remains, and we know that we are the ones who must do it. And in this House of Representatives, the one you helped elect, we will. I was proud to be an original co-sponsor of and to cast my vote for the Equality Act in my very first few months in Congress. I'm proud to stand with the LGBTQ community as an ally, and I'm grateful that you've been standing with me since my first campaign. There is no doubt that the HRC volunteers who worked their hearts out on my campaign in 2018 made an incredible difference, electing not just me, but so many allies and champions to office in Congress, in state houses, and in local government. And it's time for us to do it all again, because the stakes are too high for us to do anything else. But one thing we know from our work together is that together we can do anything.
Hi, I'm Libby. I live in Dallas, Texas. Even though I'm only 10 years old, I already know how important it is to elect pro-equality legislators. Please go vote. Please vote to keep me and other kids like me safe.
We're the proud parents of our transgender daughter, Libby. We're part of HRC's Parents for Transgender Equality Council. We are lending our voices to make sure our families are being seen and heard.
We are frightened by the attempts to pass anti-trans legislation that would harm families like ours and kids like Libby. Whether it's banning trans kids from playing sports or throwing up barriers to gender-affirming healthcare, these bills are nothing more than mean-spirited attacks on our families.
We know that HRC members and supporters in Texas and beyond have our backs. You are standing up for transgender people by staying informed and by getting involved. Please call your representatives and make sure to vote for pro-equality candidates.
We appreciate HRC's advocacy and know that our work is not done. Let's stay focused and continue to show support for like Libby and thousands of other transgender youth.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Next up, we have a message from an actress and friend of HRC, SELENIS LEYVA. She's best known for her roles as Gloria Mendoza in the Netflix hit series Orange is the New Black, and as Gabby Cañero in the Disney Plus original Diary of a Future President. SELENIS is an outspoken activist for LGBTQ+ rights and recently just published her memoir titled My Sister, How One Sibling's Transition Changes Us Both, which she wrote with her sister Marisol, a transgender woman and advocate. Please welcome SELENIS LEYVA.
Now more than ever, we have to continue to fight for equality for all. I will continue to do my part to use my platform to raise my voice. As an Afro-Latina, as a daughter of immigrants, as a mother, as an author, activist, actress, and sister to a transgender woman, I know what it's like to see someone face the world on a daily basis that tells them that they are not equal, that they are not wanted. Well, I'm here to continue the fight, and I invite you to continue the fight with me. I invite you to stand with me and our transgender community. I invite you to stand against injustice. I invite you all to fight for equality for all. What we are seeing today is a cry, desperate cry, nationwide, worldwide for change. So we do have a responsibility. Let's continue the fight. Let's continue the fight for those that oftentimes are made to be silent. Let's continue the fight for those that are told that this world is not theirs. Thank you again so much from the bottom of my heart. I thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for At Home with HRC Houston. We hope you've been inspired and have learned a little more about the Human Rights Campaign. Don't let your commitment to equality end at the finish of this broadcast. There are so many ways to show your support. You can volunteer your time with HRC's election efforts, place a bid in the online auction, support an equality captain, or make a single or recurring donation. You can take one or all of these actions by visiting the link on the screen. And now we have a very special musical performance from talented artist and transgender advocate. She performs the theme song in HBO's new unscripted hit series, We're Here performing her original song, American Pie. Please welcome the amazing SHEA Diamond.
Hello, one and all. My name is SHEA Diamond. I'm a singer-songwriter and human rights activist. I am so excited to be a part of At Home with HRC. Today, I'll be performing an original song called American Pie, performed with the amazingly talented Erin Kanata. I hope that this song resonates with your spirit, and I hope that you will share with others so that they can experience it. We're all out here fighting for equality. We just want our piece of the American pie. You got yours. Where's ours?
1, 2, 3.
I don't like antiques, I want something new. The world don't like no freaks coming in their rooms. But this beggar's got a right to choose. I'm not a stranger, I'm just like you. I need love, I don't need money. After all these years, baby, I'm still running. Who's gonna say my want is not a need? I get looks that get so dirty. After all these years, baby, it's still hurting. Who's gonna say my want is not a need? Just want my piece of the American pie. You got your slice, where is mine? Lick my fingers on this thing all night. Just a piece of the American pie to break the chains of overleaps. I'm the flame that you can't unsee. I don't like antiques, I want something new. I got my dignity, gonna live my truth. Like the southern smile, I just can't lose. Let my light sweep across the room. You may laugh, but it's not funny. That's the thing that keeps me coming. Who's gonna say my want is not a need? All those looks that get so dirty lets me know that they're still learning. Who's gonna say my want is not a need? Just want my piece of the American pie. You got your slice, where is mine? Lift my fingers on this thing all night. Just a piece of the American pie to break the chain of overleaf. I'm the flame that you can't unsee. Oh, 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 where's my peace?
Hello, from the HRC Houston Steering Committee.
We want to give a big Texas shout out
to HRC Houston, volunteers, major donors, supporters,
and Federal Club members, because without you,
we can't continue our critical work for equality.
This has been a complicated time in our lives,
which means we have to fight harder.
Even if it's not easy,
we must stay focused on protecting our human rights
and fight for equality for everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your financial support.
Thank you for participating at our events.
Thank you for sharing your expertise and talents.
From the bottom of our hearts,
we are very, very grateful.
Muchísimas gracias.
You've been with us through thick and thin.
Because we can't do this without you.
And whatever comes our way, we're stronger.
Because we're facing this together.
Stay healthy and stay committed. Thank you.